Again, I sure enough appreciate you for tuning in live. If you're listening via the archives, I appreciate you as well, but just slightly less. We got to get that live listenership up and popping, G. Now, there's a lot to cover today, and I'm getting feedback. One brother, I don't know his name, or don't remember his name, but I don't think he told me his name, but he sent me a message on my blog and said, I'd like for you to talk to me or discuss the specifics of starting a black organization, a black group or conglomerate, I don't know, I don't remember the term he used. I have to go back and look at that request. But anyway, he wanted me to talk about fundamentally how to go about forming an organization, and then what specifically should that organization do once it's together. And then I got another request inquiring. I got two requests, which I intend to do that. But then I got two requests of individuals asking me about trauma, PTSD, and the ongoing publicized atrocities. And again, we have to emphasize when we talk about atrocities, the state atrocities against black people, against black citizens, against the black community, we have to talk about publicized versus non-publicized. Because a lot of times people will think those gaps between televised shootings, recorded shootings, hashtagged victims, and non-hashtag victims, they think if it's not on TV, it didn't happen. If our people aren't in the streets, then there must be a lull in the atrocities. But these atrocities go on every day. When Gucci Mane, the griot, the prophet, whatever you want to call him, when Gucci Mane got out of prison, he said brothers were being murdered, slaughtered, tortured in prison every week. I remember when the Abu Ghraib photos came out, the first thing that came to my mind when they showed the attack dogs being unleashed on naked prisoners is they released this footage of the same thing happening in prison Texas system in the early and mid 90s. Same thing happens in I think it was Memphis, Tennessee, where they had attack dogs on the cell blocks. Everything I saw in Abu Ghraib, stress positions, all of this stuff, they were doing it in prisons here. In fact, many of the consultants, the private consultants that went to Iraq to set up the torture houses, to set up the black sites under Bush and Obama, many of those individuals worked for local PDs, worked in local state jails and prisons, or the federal prison system. I mean, Chicago, we know about murderous, torturous, corrupt cops. So anyway, we have to distinguish between what's brought to light and what's in the background. This is a society that we love to talk about how America was founded on genocide and slavery, but we tend not to speak so much on how America is sustained on ongoing atrocities and oppression and exploitation. We know how it was founded, and those who continue to lead the system, profit from the system, have not and will not express any real remorse unless there's profit in that too, unless that's just another manipulation. So we just have, but I've gotten two requests to talk about trauma, PTSD, depression, the ongoing psychological impacts of being under oppression. And then I also got a request. I also read online several individuals who are already engaged in the struggle, taking it from different angles. Feminists or womenists fighting abuses of the state and internal abuses, men against women. Radicals, integrationists, saying that they don't want to share the images of black people being shot by police anymore. They don't want to continue to contribute to the trauma of our people, the psychological trauma of our people, by sharing the reality. I'm not sure if that's the best way forward. But I'll get into that later. But first thing I want to talk about is there was a video going around of Killer Mike sitting on a panel. And Killer Mike is a local conscious MC, very good. And I think he became to national prominence because he was a key delegate in the Bernie campaign. He was Bernie's, for lack of a better word, token black. You know. And he tried, and it was Bernie's, I mean, it was the best Bernie could do. I don't think, you know, but again, Killer Mike is, you know, a dope MC, a conscious MC, very talented brother. But I don't know if he really had the ability to really stand up against Hillary. I mean, Hillary's tokenization game is on fleek. Can we lie? She went and got the mothers of the movement. I mean, how can you trump that? You'd have to dig up Dr. King and Abernathy, resurrect them or something, clone them, in order to get, I mean, more, you know, effective tokenism than the mothers of the movement. And when I saw these mothers of the movement, these mothers of, you know, Jordan Davis, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, when I saw these so-called mothers of the movement, I immediately, being a responsible citizen, I jumped on the phone and called Division of Family Services. And I said, hey, mothers of Division of Family Services, I'm calling to report neglect, abuse, and exploitation of a mother's. And they were like, really? And I'm like, yes. I said, there's a movement out there, apparently, that these women have given birth to, apparently, that they are exposing them to unfit environment. They're exposing them to a woman who's had a history of abusing black people, exploiting black people, mass incarcerating black people, bombing black people, telling pernicious and blatant lies to black people. And the mothers are cooperating with this. And they said, can we have the names? And then when I gave them the names, they hung up on me. So I'm sorry, movement. I am a mandated reporter, by the way. They made me become a mandated reporter when we were running the first leg of the Green Teens program, saying that if I see abuse, then I have to report abuse. So I did it. And the mothers of the movement, but thankfully Hillary has put them on the shelf, has put them on dry ice until she needs them again. But anyway, so you got the mothers of slain people, children who were slain as a direct byproduct of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton's policies against Killer Mike. So it didn't work. But that's not what I want to talk about. But Killer Mike was a Bernie delegate. He was I think he's principled. I don't think he was there for the same reason the mothers of the movement. I don't think he was manipulated. I don't think he was insincere. And I think he consciously, and I don't think he was a groupie. I don't think he was going off of name recognition like a lot of Clinton supporters. I think he was there because I think he genuinely support Bernie Sanders' platform and policies. Not all of them. Just like there were many policy positions of Sanders I supported, and many I stood in very aggressive opposition to. But overall, I supported Bernie Sanders. I voted for Bernie Sanders in the primary. Of course, Chicago did not count my vote because they stole the election. But again, that's not my topic either. Killer Mike had a statement that a lot of people were sharing on social media, where he basically asked the audience, he said, how many of, and I'm sorry for this impression, it's not good, but he said, how many people out there know how to fish? Raise your hand. And he said, hands down. He said, how many people know how to hunt? Raise your hand. Hands down. Now I believe he said, I don't know if he said this could be my imagination. He said, how many people out there know how to dress, field dress, slaughter animals? Hands down. How many people know how to farm? Hands down. And so basically he went through basically what I think he understood to be essential skills of survival. And there was one brother in the front, hands went up every year. I'm like, we should get that dude's name. Or maybe we can contact the NSA, because I know they took that brother's name, because his hand went straight up. Dude was like, how many people know how to build IEDs? Hands down. That brother's hand went up for every single question. I mean, that we need to elect him. We need to go and put him over the Nation of Islam, Rainbow Push organizations, Black Lives Matter. We need to, whoever that dude was in the audience. But man, stay anonymous. Anonymous. Don't let them know who you are, because that dude is like Black MacGyver and Black Rainbow and Black Jesus all rolled into one. But anyway, because so few people raised their hands, Killer Mike then asserted that black people are not ready for revolution. So we're not ready for revolution. Now, we don't know, we don't have the basic essential skills for I don't know what he was thinking. Because I think he's wrong. I think black people are ripe for revolution, ready for revolution, and fully capable of both engaging, going through, and coming out the other side of revolution. Because, I mean, when you're talking about fishing, now I've been fishing as a child. It's not pretty complex. I mean, you know, adolescent grizzly bears know how to fish. And for the other stuff he's talking about, you know, they're relatively simple skills that you can pick up. But here's another thing that we're not talking about. We're not an agrarian society. We're not a hunter-gatherer society anymore. We're not even an industrial society. This is a post-industrial society. The post-literate too, unfortunately. But this is a post-industrial, service-based economy that has been globalized, very complex, very interdependent, and spread across a wide swath of land. The division of labor has never been more in detail and pinpoint focus ever in human history. You know, and you're better off knowing how to secure a fishing license before knowing how to fish. You can get more out of selling fishing licenses or walking people through the application process. And I'm thinking, if we're really serious about revolution, revolution is not about surviving the zombie apocalypse. Revolution is about systematically dismantling infrastructures, institutions, bureaucracies, systematically opposing policies and agendas, while erecting your own protocols and your own institutions and advancing your own agendas. You know? And I know this isn't as glamorous as we like to believe. You know, black fist in the air, shotgun in hand, you know, burly, hairy chest man roaming through the woods with a bear in the headlock and a trout in the other hand. I mean, where did this come from? And I'm not against survivalist skills. I was born and raised in Missouri. You know, I've been taken hunting. I done shot pistols, rifles, shotguns, revolvers, and I know the difference between all of them. And I know basic maintenance of firearms. I'm not a gun nut. I'm not an ammo sexual, but I mean, I know my way around a pistol. I don't like fishing. I don't eat fish, but I haven't been fishing in over probably 20 years, but I could figure it out within a weekend, even if I have to hook up my own little apparatus to catch fish. And as far as, I mean, yeah, we're not into house building, but the house builders built the houses. People don't erect their own homes. And the house builders can't even build houses without the lawyers securing the land grants and the bureaucrats writing up the paperwork. And there's just so much involved in society that if we all come and become what are we going to be, mountain men? I don't understand how one thing is tied to the other. And again, I'm not saying black folks don't get out here and get survival skills. But more so than quote-unquote survival skills and a relatively established, entrenched systems, you need more so navigation skills than you need survivalist skills. It's a different mentality. It's a different approach to life. You know? And why, if we're going to take our young people, our engaged community out into the woods to develop these mountain men bear trapping skills, and then they're going to come and fight against bureaucrats with pocket protectors sitting in cubicles that are using, you know, the pen is mightier than the buck knife. That's still the state of things. So I'm not saying don't develop these skills. I'm saying before you say what revolution is or who's ready for revolution and who ain't, you got to do a real assessment of where you are. You got to define your place in your space and not define it based on your imagination. We kings, we queens. We're the worst thing God ever imagined. You got to have a realistic definition, orientation. Because you can know exactly where you want to go, but if you don't know exactly where you are, it's next to impossible to get there. So you have to know where you are as well as knowing where you're going. So I understand Killer Mike wants to get to freedom. He wants empowerment. But I don't know how dude is one month, a few months ago, he's standing in the middle of a bank talking about, I want black folks to open accounts at this bank. Are we supposed to deposit fish in the bank? Oh, we got a call. And I didn't even solicit a call. Thank you, caller, for saving me, because I think I'm about to get a diss track made against me by Killer Mike. Caller. Hey, what's up, bro? Hey, Dirty South, Mississippi in the house. What's up, bro? How many of those things could you raise your hand on? Oh, you ain't ready for revolution. You ain't ready for revolution.
About how Liberia failed without giving any historical context.
Oh.
Without giving any critical analysis.
Right.
And it was just ridiculous. Because my thing is, like Gil Scott Heron said on his poem, Message to the Message, if you're going to be standing in front of people, you got to know what you're saying, man.
I got to play that now. Go on.
You got to have a deeper critical analysis of what you're saying. And all you got to do, and I'm pretty sure it does many other books that could give them guidance on what actually happened in Liberia, but one that I know that's good is a book called Mississippi in Africa. That he could have referenced. It would have made him not say any of this stuff that he said, because a part of the disaster of what happened in Liberia is because our people, and we got the same condition today, we have internalized the value system and the principles and the mindset of our oppressors.
Right.
So that's why.
And right. And a bigger issue is what you're touching on, and this goes beyond all post-colonial states, is black folks had the fundamental survival skills. They didn't have the administrative skills. So they had to basically try to graft onto the colonial administrative skills. And they maintained the colonial structures and the colonial borders and the colonial policies and the colonial economic system after they quote-unquote got free. So it was more bookworm stuff than about, going to the nearest, going to Lake Chad and catching fish, in a modern sense. Now, if we had started our revolution maybe in 1485, 1492, just after, we first contact, maybe those would be the more essential skills. But go on.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. So, that's what I wanted to say. It was just ridiculous that brother would get up there and say that without giving a proper background, proper historical context and analysis on it. And that's why we got to be careful, I think, of running behind some of these entertainers and other folks that be saying a lot of stuff. And I like the brother Killer Mike. I think he has some great insight. And I saw a sister on the video that was going in on him. I wish I would have been able to hear what the sister was saying.
Yeah. That's what somebody had. When I saw the post, it had on there, oh, there's a sister who really went at him. So I watched it, and I couldn't hear what the sister was saying. I could only hear his responses. Right.
So, yeah, but that's all I had with it. Because when I heard him saying that stuff, I know that we need certain skills, like you saying. It's not, and I'm pretty sure many people will run out and say, well, Brother Diallo is saying we don't even need these skills. What is these brothers saying? But it's not an either or.
Right.
It's an and both.
And we all don't need the skills. Just like he said, for everything he said, somebody raised their hands. Like, I'm a certified radiographer. So I can provide that service to 1,500 people under certain circumstances. We ain't all got to get that degree, you know.
Right.
My wife is a psychologist. She can provide ongoing services for an entire community. So, and I'm like, we all ain't psychologists, so everybody got to know how to shoot. Everybody got to know. And I was just saying in the last show, for every soldier in the field, it takes between 50, depending on their specific task, whether they're an Air Force pilot or an infantryman, it takes between 50 and 100 people behind the scenes who will never touch a gun in order to support, train, equip, prop up, and help to provide logistics to every soldier in the field. So everybody in the military has more classrooms than gun ranges. You know, and so, yeah, and I don't want to have to go in on Killer Mike. And what's more, cause for concern than Killer Mike saying that is how receptive and how viral it went. Because it's always, I'm going to say stupid stuff. Everybody going to say, not going to have an off day where they're just venting or just saying some things they didn't fully think out. But when those ideas start to trend and get spread around and quoted and articulated over and over again, that's when it becomes an issue. That's why I feel, because I can't, if I had to try to respond to everything that I hear, especially in the social media arena, or just as I'm organizing in the streets, building with my allies, if I had to respond to every off-the-cuff thing someone said, I just wouldn't, it wouldn't be enough time. But the fact that he said it, you're right, that's an issue. But the fact that it resonated with so many people was a bigger issue to me.
Yeah. I just wanted to make that contribution on that topic.
All right, I appreciate that, bro. Feel free to call in anytime. Your input is always appreciated.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, bro. Talk to you soon. Peace. Oh, that was Brother Adolfo. I need to, every time he calls in, I need to, I guess, ask him to state his name and where he's calling from. Because I assume the listeners know. But again, I'm glad there are some other people that agree with me, and I'm not just hating on Killer Mike or asserting that we don't need particular skills as a people, And then also having those skills don't inherently mean you're going to use them against the establishment or use them in the interest or on behalf of your larger community. Amos Wilson says the fundamental thing you need is the ideas. Your psychology needs to be together. And that's my thing. Ideology is all. Whether you're an illiterate peasant or you're a highly trained fighting machine or you're one of the greatest scientists, philosophers in the world, if your ideology isn't African-centered, then you're not going to have an African-centered agenda, and you're not going to help black people make African-centered or pro-black progress. So the bottom line is, because the community is in the society and the world is so diverse, that the systems are so complex and require such a detailed division of labor, literally, like, when I learned my technical skill, you have the technician and the technologist. And the technician doesn't know how to do what the technologist does, and the technologist doesn't know how to do what the technician does. But if they both didn't do their job, neither could do their job. Whether the technologist utilizes the technology, the technician sustains and supports and repairs the technology. And of course, working in the field for 13 years, I did pick up, some skills on how to calibrate, I started learning more about the cathode and the anode and that, and I'm sure many technicians begin to understand something about patient positioning, identifying disease process and body habits, and you pick up things, but in your area of focus. So we don't need everybody to know everything, and that's a problem. And it's not just in terms of skills, but in everything. You run into organizations or people that can't diversify. They can't work with other people. You got one or two people trying to be the whole movement. And they don't trust other people, or they feel that if you're not aligned with me on everything, yeah, we believe that we should have freedom. Yeah, we want an end to the atrocities, but do you brush your teeth in a circular or linear fashion? Oh, brother, then you ain't down. You ain't really an African. I can't work with you. over there brushing circular instead of linear. You know, we got to grow up. And somebody as prominent and as intelligent and as articulate as Killer Mike, you should know better. And as much as we go through, you don't sit up in front of a room full of African people and say, we not ready for revolution. And it's not the job of the masses to be ready for revolution. It's the job of the revolutionaries to be ready for revolution. And when the people stand up and say, this is what we want, you give it to them as a servant of the people. Fred Hampton said this. We got to be ready to lead the people when the people are ready. Not to discourage the people, not to berate the people. They get enough of that from Fox News. They got enough of that from Bill Cosby before he was shamed. We get enough of that from the Negro elites. Telling black folks what they ain't and what they need to be. You sit up in front of black people and say, black people, we need revolution. This is what revolution requires. And when y'all ready, I'm ready. You begin to lay the groundwork in the infrastructure. So when the dude shows up at the door, shows up at your tent, shows up at your compound and say, look, I'm sick of this. You know, what's next? You can quickly integrate them, provide them with the trainings they need, or assess what skills they bring to the table and then begin to integrate those skills. But you don't sit up. I mean, I'm not even for telling black folks, this is what y'all doing wrong and this is what y'all need to do better. But you don't sit up and tell black folks, we are ready for revolution, we need revolution, and we're worthy of revolution. I don't care if you can't fish, it's okay. Go to the fish market. If you can't buy a house, it's okay. Systematically build your credit up or create a real estate cooperative. Pull your communities or your family's resources and go buy the doggone property. And then hire a tradesman, carpenter, plumber to do the maintenance. Because if you think you got to do everything, then you're going to accomplish nothing. You'll be dead. You'll be too elderly to accomplish anything and not even know 1/1000th of the skills and knowledge you need to operate a community, let alone run a state. Talking about, and the people who run the world can't fish, can't do a push-up. The people who signed the paperwork, I mean Obama, ain't put in no work, but he's ordered the deaths of literally thousands of people from the comfort of the Oval Office. You know, I've seen, living in Chicago, I've seen Obama's convoy over the last, 6 years we've been here. I've seen his convoy zooming through Chicago from time to time. Obama ain't driving the car. He ain't setting up and clearing the traffic. Everybody got to do the work. Does the queen ant, does the queen bee have to go out and collect the nectar too? So we're ready for revolution. How do I know? Because who do you think is doing the work to sustain the state? It ain't the elites. It ain't the rulers. It's not the revolutionaries. It's the rank and file people you sitting there telling they ain't ready for revolution. They're already picking up the trash, maintaining the sewers, raising the kids, driving the buses, delivering the goods, selling the goods, packaging the goods, cataloging the products, providing the services, braiding the hair, providing the nursing, in the nursing homes, cleaning out the bedpans and helping our elderly live with some level of dignity. The black folks are already doing the work. We just don't have the revolutionary consciousness to understand that we don't need investors. We don't need the elites. We don't even need their fiat currency in order to carry out these actions. There's black farmers right now. Instead of admonishing black folks, masses of black people, go support the individual black farmers. I'm not even down with black capitalism, but I appreciated your effort to bring attention to black financial institution, Killer Mike. We got bankers. There's not one skill related to operating a society or not one skill related to defending a society, not one skill related to sustaining a society that you can't find black people in America or black individuals in America that they don't have. They're just dispersed all over. Black skilled tradesmen, black cops, even black fishermen. Killer Mike. And everybody ain't going to be out there fishing. Everybody don't need to know how to fish. And don't nobody need to be eating fish anyway. Especially you. Go vegan, y'all. So I'm just saying, let's calm down. And if you're going to share that Killer Mike video, because it is an interesting video, I'm not telling people not to watch it. I'm saying we have to critically think about it. Black people, y'all are ready, worthy, and need to engage in revolution. And here's another thing. When you go to school, when you say, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an electrician, I want to be a boxer. You don't point to them like, you can't be no boxer. Do you know how to box? No. You can't be a boxer? You know, I want to be a surgeon. Do you have a scalpel? No, I don't have anything. Then you can't do it. You don't sit and tell people, well, we're not ready. You're not ready to be a doctor. The first thing you say is, do you have a desire to be a doctor? Yes. Are you willing to follow the rigorous instruction? Are you willing to give your time and effort and dedicate your intensive focus to do this? Yes, then you're ready. Whether you got nothing else. But what's in here and in here, in your head, I'm pointing to my head and my heart. What's in here and in here, if that's all you got, then you're ready. So you sit before an audience of black folks, you got a platform like that, say, black folks, do y'all want to be free? Yes. Are y'all willing to do what it takes to be free? Yes, then y'all ready for revolution. But I don't know how to fish. I don't care. Because how do you learn to fish? By fishing. You know. When I became a radiographer, first thing I had to do, I learned anatomy, physiology, radium physics. And there were some people that were really good at that. There were some people who struggled at that. But right after the first semester, we were on the clinical floor. You learn by doing. So if you think black folks need to know how to fish in order to be liberated, where's your fishing instruction? I know they don't. I think black folks need to learn how to preserve ecosystems, not just extract from them. But hey, we can make that roll by walking. I just took, how many kids? I think we had about 15 kids in the Green Teens program at the Hales Organic Community Farm Urban Agriculture Project. Young people from the south side of Chicago who never picked a piece of food off of a vine. You know, who've never planted a seed and had never been exposed to anything more than a house plant. And within a summer, you know, the vast majority of those young people can pretty much grow food from seed, from dirt, to the point where I was showing up and, you know, and then even if you didn't know how to do that, I have a new car. I had to replace the brake light. I called a mechanic. He said that'll be $45 starting. So I hopped in the car, went over to O'Reilly Auto Parts, bought a $5 bulb, and pulled up a YouTube video, changed the brake light. You know, do you know how to navigate a smart device, a cell phone or a computer? Then you can do anything else. From, you know, first say, tourniquet a cut, to make a enterprise IED. Not that I'm suggesting you do that, but I'm saying it's out there. So again, Killer Mike, I'm going to have to, you know, just call you on that one. This isn't responsible. You can't advocate for revolution and discourage people and tell them they ain't ready for it. Then what you advocating for? Go sit down. And how you think they get ready? By being told they're not ready? You make the road by walking. You make the path with your feet, through walking the path. On the job training. And really, revolution is about your consciousness, not about your skills. And you've had revolutions from developed societies, and you had revolutions from illiterate people who just understood this is injustice that I'm not willing to deal with anymore. And then you have other, like I said, scholarly revolutions who talk about dialectical and historical materialism, who come up with complex formulas and philosophies and ideas, which is all relevant. I've read the complex, boring books. I've been on the street level just with the pure, raw, emotional energy. I don't advocate for it all to be properly coordinated and advanced. So I don't agree with Killer Mike. And it kind of bothers me that so many people I think should know better are sharing this video like right on. And if you disagree with me, call 312-985-7834. 312-985-7834. Because when people rattle off numbers, it never is slow enough.